Welcome to another episode of the I Am Undeniable podcast. I am your host, Alex, and what I'm actually going to be going over today is the myth, and why carbs are making you fat, and the myth behind them, and why they actually don't do that, and why you can essentially eat carbohydrates within your nutrition plan, within your diet, and still see fat loss progress. This is going to be a very valuable live. And if you guys are getting value from this, all I ask is that you share this with a friend and you subscribe. It helps the podcast, it helps boost it up, and essentially gets my voice out to as many people as possible. So why don't we just go straight into it? And as you guys know, for those that are listening, I do not like to waste too much time when it comes down to giving quality information. And like one of the things I like to do with my podcast, and one of the reasons why I actually like to keep it so short, is because I want to provide you guys with quality information, and something that's very important to me, and hopefully very important to each and every single one of you as well. Now, are carbs making you fat? The answer is two parts, right? On one side, it is yes, they are making you fat. And on the second side is there is a reason why it is making you fat. Now, when it comes down to putting on body fat on your body, you only put body fat on your body when you're in a calorie surplus. So when you're consuming more calories than your body is required to have, you will put on body fat. It's called the law of thermodynamics. You can't change this. This is just the way it is. And as many of you who are busy professionals, it is really easy to overconsume calories and really easy to overconsume on carbohydrates that are putting you in that calorie surplus, right? So I'm going to give you guys like a couple examples here, right, for this. But before we get into that, like I mentioned, it's the law of thermodynamics. So it's not exactly that carbs are making you put on body fat. It's the fact that you're over-consuming calories. And a lot of times, a lot of people over-consume these calories in the form of carbohydrates. And I'll give you guys some examples right here that you could be doing, which is adding calories up onto your belly, adding calories that are giving you those love handles, stuff that you want to lose. So a lot of people, they like to go to Starbucks. You know, muffins are a very good one. Breakfast sandwiches, those add up super quickly. As an example, if you go to Costco, one of those Costco muffins is like, I think 600 calories. And they're not really big. They're very small. They're like they're like this. For myself, I can probably eat 3 of them within a sitting and be significantly over on my carbohydrates, right? Second is lunches, right? Like, what are you eating for lunch? Are you going to like meetings? What are you ordering at these meetings, right? Usually a lot of people don't order foods that are a lot more calorie friendly. Usually there's alcohol with it, nachos, right? Things that add up super quickly. And sometimes a lot of people go for salad options, but those salad options are really high in really not carbohydrates, but really high in calories because they're drenched in sauces and a whole ton of other stuff that's really holding you back when it comes down to losing fat. And then by the end of the day, you know, you've worked all day, whether you worked at your job or your business, you get home. And if I were you, you know, I would feel pretty exhausted, right? And the last thing you want to do is probably cook something. The last thing that you want to do is probably cook something that is a little bit more healthier in terms of getting towards your goals. And it's way more easier just ordering, skip the dishes, Uber Eats, going out to a restaurant, have someone else prepare you food. And usually, it's higher in calories, right? So it takes you into that calorie surplus. And that's just on the weekday. It doesn't include the weekends. It doesn't include events that you go to on the weekends, gatherings with friends, any other meetings that you do. And over the months and over the years, you can put on a significant amount of body fat from just kind of living like that, right? So the essential fact is that are carbs making you fat? It's not the carbs. It's the overconsumption of calories. And this is where a lot of people get it confused. is usually when a lot of people, maybe you're one of them, who goes on to, a fat loss program, you want to lose body fat. One of the mistakes you actually do is you actually cut out carbs out of your diet. And that's a big no-no, right? Because it's not the carbs, it's the calories, right? And carbs are a very essential and important aspect when it comes down to losing body fat. And I'm going to give you guys a couple and listed a couple of reasons for you here. Number one is your body's preferred and main energy source. It gives you energy for your body. It gives you energy for your brain. It gives you energy for performance, right? So you need carbohydrates to perform, right? Without carbs, without that energy source, you can't push it in the gym. So a lot of times when a lot of people go on low carb diets, like a low carb, a keto diet, or carnivore diet, yes, you are losing weight right away, but most of that is water weight, right? Because for every gram of carb that you consume, you got 3 grams of water on top of that. So you lose a lot of water weight. It's actually not a lot of body fat as much as you think, and it's not sustainable. So a lot of people who actually can't maintain it or can't stick to it, after like a couple weeks or a month in, you will binge eat on a ton of carbohydrates and put all that weight you lost back on, and plus more on top of that, right? So it makes way more sense not to cut out carbs because it's your body's preferred main energy source and it's not going to cause binge eating. And instead, you should include carbohydrates within your diet when it comes to losing body fat, but you need to choose the right types of carb sources. So when you choose a lot of processed foods that are what I call condensed carbohydrates, like that 800 calorie muffin, like I mentioned from Costco, of course you're not going to feel full, right? Because it's condensed, right? What you want to choose is you want to have carbohydrates that are very voluminous, right? So instead of going for those processed carbs that are defeating you and not getting you closer to your goals, we want to choose foods that are less processed, higher nutrient dense. They got a lot more nutrients in them, and they're going to fill you up, right? We're looking at like white rice is a good option. Potatoes are very, very good. Sweet potatoes, vegetables and fruits, which are lots of micronutrients, lots of fiber. Like if we take like 800 calories worth of that muffin, 600 calories versus like 600 calories of a watermelon, that's a huge food difference. Like you could look probably at muffins like this, and the watermelon's probably like all around. You got so much food to fill your stomach up, right? So the goal of you actually losing weight is not to cut out carbs, it's to go into the calorie deficit. And when you're in a calorie deficit, whatever your calorie deficit is, the amount of calories that you're consuming, let's say 1,800 calories a day, you can turn that 800 calories into massive amounts of meals for yourself, right? So for myself, I'm on a calorie deficit right now. I'm probably consuming 2,000 to 2,100 calories to lose 2 pounds a week. And some of the foods that I eat, there's a lot of carbs in there, right? I got a breakfast wrap in the morning. I eat 2 of them. For my second meal, there's rice. There's a ton of broccoli in there. For my third meal, it's tons of veggies with the steak. And the last meal is like Greek yogurt and tons of fruit, right? So there's plenty of carbohydrates in there, but it's allowing me to go into a deficit. And like the best part of like having carbs in your diet is that a lot of like high nutrient sources are from carbohydrates, right? Lots of vegetables, lots of fruits, sweet potatoes. These have a lot of nutritional value in them. And when you have a lot of nutritional value, you're going to have significantly better energy. It's going to fill you up significantly more as you lose weight as well. And like one of the cool things about that is that you're not going to feel restricted, right? It's not going to be like those low carb keto diet or carnivore diets where you feel extremely restrictive. You'll be able to make the right proper food decisions because your body is supplied with the right energy. So all I can say is like, I really hope that this episode really changes your perspective on why carbs are not the enemy. They are your best friend when it comes to losing fat, and that carbs are not making you fat. It's the fact that you're in a calorie surplus, and we need to be more aware of the food choices we are making. So guys, I hope you guys get a ton of value out of today's episode. For those who are watching and you guys are like, man, like, well, I still need help. Like, what do I exactly eat when it comes down to losing body fat? I created a free 15-minute training. And if you DM me after this, after you listen to this episode, and ask for this free 15-minute training, I will give you a free video that's 15 minutes long on exactly what to eat and how to lose body fat. I give it all to you in this video and teach you exactly the step-by-step process. If you want that video, DM me after you listen to this or after you watch this, and I will send it to you for free. Hope you guys have the best day ever, and we'll talk to you soon.